if you're somebody who laments the rise of electric vehicles and spends their time talking about how, oh, I'm not ready for EVs, I just want a good gas car, it's still here for you. You got the Audi S4. That's exactly what it's going after. Conventional enjoyment. Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor. And in today's market of electrified crossover vehicles, storied nameplates like the Audi A4 and its performance S4 sibling like this are important to keep alive and to tell the story of, because for us automotive enthusiasts, this is a car that represents a soul and a character that a lot of us feel like has been being taken away from us by a lot of these mandates and a lot of the buying habits of consumers here in 2024. But the S4 continues on as a car that can be so nicely used as a daily driver vehicle, but then be so enjoyable to get out on some spirited roads. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. Less of a daily type drive and more of a spirited drive up in the mountains, and talk about why you'd consider dropping $60,000 to $70,000 on a turbocharged V6 sedan like this, as opposed to maybe something electrified or something with a bigger hatch. Now, interestingly, I've already seen some comments on this car because we already published our sound system review, the 19-speaker Bang & Olufsen 3D surround system that's in the car. I've already published that, and some people were saying that the Audi A4 and S4 are looking old and stale, especially the interiors, and I just don't agree with that. I understand that you could say it's understated and maybe not as flashy and showy as some other cars, but that's always been Audi's MO, and even if we look back at some of the older sedans from the early 2000s, I mean, that was kind of their thing, is that they were simpler and they were maybe a little bit more basically styled, but there's a coolness and a crispness to everything. And if I had to distill reviewing an Audi product down to one word, it would be crisp. Because everything from the $1,000 Magma Red Napa leather here to the little clicks of the heated seat controls in the back, to the door close sound, to the carbon fiber inserts on the sport package, everything feels intentional and crispy and nice and pleasant. And that's what I've always enjoyed about having Audi vehicles, especially these newer ones. They really have gone a long way in the end user fit and finish and quality aspects that not all brands do as well. Just a quick time back here in the rear seat to show you that even as a 5'10" adult, I could sit back here. I'm a little bit squished just because of the angle of the rear seats, very up and down, and my head is just starting to hit the top if I sit with good posture. But I've got a place to put some smaller drinks, maybe Red Bulls. I've got a place to store some things. I've got heated seats. I've got climate control adjustments back here. So if you're comparing this to something like the BMW M240i, just know that you've got much more space back here, and it's easier to get in and out of, than that coupe that is the 2 Series. And I'm not even talking about the 2 Series Grand Coupe, because that car is not worth considering in my book. Let's take a quick peek at this 3-liter turbocharged V6 engine. And I do love how you even got Mercedes-AMG C63s coming with turbo 4 cylinders now, but yet Audi's still giving you a V6 in this car. And yeah, and power figures are less important. The fact we're only getting kind of mid-3s in horsepower and torque, but it's the character that this motor provides that is important here in 2024, because power is cheap these days. You can get electrified vehicles that'll give you much quicker performance than this car in a straight line, but if you want something that you're going to daily drive and you're going to be able to use at higher speeds for long periods of time, you want a gasoline engine that's going to inspire a degree of enjoyment to your driving experience, and that's what the S4 still gives you. Did you hear the crisp click to that stop-start button? Start-stop? Huh. They've got a physical adjustment right here for the height of the head-up display. I don't know if I've ever seen that as a rotary knob down here. I know some of the GM vehicles have a physical up and down switch. That's pretty cool. Also, I appreciate a lot of the physical controls in this car. So again, somebody saying, oh, the interiors of the Audi are so dated. No, this one actually is refreshingly simple and easy to use, and that's what I like about this car. You've even got a physical adjustment over here for adjusting the brightness of the screens. There are so many new cars I get in that you have to use the screen to adjust the brightness of the screen, and if you're hopping in the car at nighttime, city type of area, that's distracting. I much prefer being able to reach over here, have a physical adjustment for that. Over here, physical climate controls, dual zone, being able to adjust different temps for the driver and passenger, adjust my fan speeds very simply, and I get extra options that come up as I just simply touch these icons. That's really nice. Physical controls for bringing up parking cameras, 360 cam on this car. I should say this one is equipped with the Prestige package, so you're paying a little bit more to get things like heated rear seats, Bang & Olufsen 3D surround sound system, some other features that I don't think are necessarily necessary for this car, but at the same time, you know, you're getting an Audi, you probably want to have some of the niceties. Although I will say, the fact we don't have ventilated seats is strange in this car at $67,000. Nice big ergonomic shifter down here, which does take up a good amount of space, but it's a sportier car, so I get why they have it. Nice frameless rear view mirror. If you're somebody buying an S4, you want a car that is just as easy to drive into the office or out to client meetings as it is fun to drive spiritedly. So starting out here in automatic mode, I'm actually going to go all the way up to the comfort drive mode. But if you really want to dial the car to your preferences, you have an individual drive mode where you can adjust the drive characteristics, suspension, steering, and engine sounds. You know what? I'll actually go into that. Let's give some room here for that Lexus to pull out, or Toyota Avalon. Now I'm running in my desired characteristics, a nice easy driving experience with some sport baked in. Again, I'm not flogging it, I'm just getting up to speed, but it's comfortable and confident. But if you don't want to be hearing that, you simply switch up into Comfort or Auto. Everything calms down. The technology suite in the Audis is one of my favorite as well, because you have a very simple and easy to use center infotainment display. Now, unfortunately, they have moved away from the rotary controls in the A4 and S4, so you do have to reach way up here and touch it, but at least when you do touch it, everything works well. You got wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, you've got all the information you're going to want to see right away, decent responsiveness. And then this big virtual cockpit display in front of me is remarkably customizable. There's many different views you can choose from, a lot of different information screens you can go through, and you can even get this large, full satellite display map in front. So if I'm driving around in a less familiar area, I can see roads that are coming up. I can even get my navigation information up there. Pretty crisp and clever. Some people need to realize technology just for the sake of technology is not a good thing. You want to have technology integrated into your vehicle such that it genuinely improves your driving and ownership experience. If a car is just slapping in a big screen for the sake of having screen real estate, but they don't optimize it well and they don't make the rest of your control configurations intuitive and easy to use, then you might as well not even have it. It's going to deteriorate your experience with the car. So Audi doesn't have the largest screen here in the center. They don't have a bunch of digital controls, and they really actually don't even have a very robust voice control setup here in the S4. But I can hop in the car in the morning, throw my phone on the wireless device charger, and automatically wireless Android Auto comes up. I get navigating where I want to go. I got the music playing that I want to listen to. I can see things in the center screen that I want to see about my vehicle, set my climate control very easily, and then I simply drive. In today's day and age of constantly being inundated with screens and notifications, you want to be as zen and as unbothered as possible while you're driving your vehicle. Coming up to some open road, I'm going to press down into dynamic drive mode. That automatically puts me in S transmission mode. Satisfying again. And you can slap the shifter over in the center to be in manual mode, and then you've got paddle shifters on the steering wheel, or you can manually shift with the shifter in the middle. But interestingly, in manual mode, it doesn't hold gears, and I don't understand what the point of that is, because if you're in M, you probably want to be able to bounce off the rev limiter. When I was planning for the review, and I was thinking about what I was going to say, I was going to talk about how the power figures are on the low side. But as I thought more about it, and as I drove the car, I realized there's not that much more power that you could use on a daily basis that would add to the enjoyment level of this car. If we think about other smaller vehicles that come to mind when we consider fun to drive factor, we typically think of lower horsepower, smaller vehicles, things like the Miata, things like the Volkswagen Golf GTI. And it's not about the outright power figures that make the car fun to drive and exciting. It's the way the whole package comes together and the coherence. So as I come around these tight corners, I'm not even full throttle. I don't necessarily need more power. I don't need to be up in the 400s in order to have a good time with this vehicle. And driving around town as well, it's not like you don't need more power to get up to away from stoplights faster than everybody else. I mean, yeah, you pull up next to a McLaren and you're going to get dusted, but what do you expect in this sort of category? If you're somebody who laments the rise of electric vehicles and spends their time talking about how, I'm not ready for EVs, I just want a good gas car, it's still here for you. You got the Audi S4. That's exactly what it's going after. Conventional enjoyment. I will say, however, the shifter is backward. You go up to go up gears and you go down to go down gears, but it's not intuitive. It's for manual transmission enthusiasts, we would want to go down to go up to the next gear. Also, it just downshifted for me right there in manual mode as well. So manual mode's not truly manual mode, but it does allow you to shift on your own. The best candidate for a German sedan is somebody who does higher speed highway driving regularly, because unsurprisingly, this car that was built for the German Autobahn exceeded its EPA fuel economy estimation on our highway fuel economy test. They're just geared such and engineered such that they calm right down on the highway and allow you to get decent fuel economy. I think we got 31, if I remember correctly, on our highway fuel economy test. Not great for a car this size, but still better than they're estimating you get. I will say, if you live in a warm climate, such as beautiful Southern California, where we're in right now, I would put consideration into a competitor that isn't equipped with all-wheel drive. Because with modern tire technology, you're not dealing with so much power here that all-wheel drive is really necessary. It's more of an Audi trademark at this point, and by all means, if you're somewhere that gets snow, gets a lot of rain, you like to do spirited driving in those sort of conditions, yes, the all-wheel drive is going to be hugely beneficial. But you are losing some power with that, and you're losing a little bit of, not a lot, but a little bit of the driving character as well. So if you're somewhere where it's pretty much never have any sort of adverse conditions, or maybe you have another vehicle to drive in those sort of conditions, you might consider something like the BMW 2 Series that's just, you can get in rear-wheel drive. Or, I mean, there's even things like the, it's probably a little bit smaller, but something like an Acura Integra Type S that, yeah, you're only dealing with front-wheel drive, but it's a very, very intelligent front-wheel drive differential, and you'd be surprised how much equivalent power you can put down. And you get that car with a manual transmission, so a little bit more of an engaged driving experience. With this prestige package, with the extra acoustic laminated glass around the vehicle, this thing is quiet, I will say. For being a smaller type of vehicle like this that isn't always graced with the most sound deadening from the manufacturer, it's a nice place to be in all sorts of driving situations. So if you care more about the ownership experience and the individual driving experience than having something showy and look at me and go out and rip donuts sort of experience, give the Audi S4 a look, because it is still a car built for driving. And I mean driving like owning, not driving like going out and necessarily doing 10/10ths everywhere, but having to drive, I should say. Before we get out and take one last look at the car, let's rank the S4 on the Daily Motor leaderboard. Front runners as of now: Kia EV9, Hyundai Ioniq 6, Toyota Prius. It's less exciting than the S6. The S6 blew me away with that 4-liter motor. This engine is fine, but it doesn't have the character of that 4-liter. This is where it's going for me, for my money. Ranked number 7 behind the Hyundai Tucson and above the Ford F-250 Super Duty. And I know that's near the bottom of the list. It's on the bottom half. And part of that is just that list, it mostly ranks the cars on how they speak to me, and whether it's a value proposition, a driving experience, an ownership experience. It's got to all come in there and really speak to me. And the Audi does a lot right on paper, and it's a nice car to have around, but it doesn't shout a remarkable deal or ownership experience. It's one of those cars that's just right for the right sort of person, and I do highly recommend it for that right sort of person. But for me, I would want to maximize my sort of ownership and driving experience in a different way. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the S4, check the link below. We've got our breakdown on the infotainment system, the fuel economy, and the sound system. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.